Hello and hello. Welcome back to the Undisputed Champ YouTube boxing channel. If you like the videos I've already put out, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share the videos. Road to 500 subscribers. Let's get it. And today we're talking about what I've now deemed and coined the massacre. That's what we saw last night. It was a massacre. We saw Terence Bud Crawford massacre Errol the Truth Spence. What a good fight, guys. What a good fight. For the undisputed welterweight title, Terence Crawford gave us a show. He didn't just beat Errol Spence down, he took his soul in there. He outboxed him in there. He was faster than him in there. He was better than Spence in every single way. Every single way. And it just shows me and it just proves that Terence is one of the best fighters we've ever seen. He gets elevated now into around the Mayweather Pacquiao class of fighters, with the Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonards. He's in that tier of fighter now because the show that he put on yesterday night, unbelievable, unbelievable for the guy that was supposed to be his equal. A guy that was bigger than him, a guy that's supposed to be stronger than him, a guy that has been undefeated and has been at welterweight much longer than him. Terence Crawford went in there and he proved that I'm the better man. I'm the better fighter. Regardless of what any of you guys say, I'm the better fighter. And to be honest, Terence actually, I didn't give him enough credit for the detail that he puts into things. I know I said he's not witty, and I still don't think he is a witty guy, but he's extremely detailed, down to the finer things. Even the walk to the ring. He walked to the ring with a net because in the pre-fight he said, I'm gonna catch the big fish, which what Errol Spence calls himself. He calls himself the big fish, one of his monikers. And Terence said, I'm gonna catch the big fish. So he walked with a net. He had a net stitched into his boxing shorts. He had on his back, I'm here to catch the big fish. Like these are really fine details, fine details. Even the ring walk, he had Eminem walk him to the ring, coming out to uh, one of Eminem's tunes. He he's detailed. He's extremely, and then he fought. The way he fought was detailed. I have a I have a round by round analysis because I was just fascinated about how Terence Crawford went about his work last night. Fascinated with the precision that he went about his work last night. It made my eyes pop out of my head because I said, wow, a guy that was supposed to be your quote unquote equal, you just sunned him. You were like a teacher, he was like a student. You were like a pro, he was like a guy who just turned amateur. You were like a guy that had 50 fights, he was like a guy that had two fights. It was crazy. You were like a parent, he was like a child, you were giving him an arse whooping in there. And when I just think about, you know, the fight as a whole. First of all, let me just start with Jimmy Leonard Jr. He was uncharacteristically nervous. He made a couple of errors when he was doing the fighter announcements and doing the advertisements before the fight, and he never normally makes mistakes. He's normally the consummate professional. He's normally excellent at his job. So Jimmy Leonard Jr. I don't know if the nerves actually got to him, but he was fumbling a little bit in there, which is very interesting. I wonder if other people saw that. But on to the actual fight itself. Round one was just a feel out round for Crawford. And normally Crawford has about two or three of these feel out rounds, but round one, feel out round. I guess he was getting used to Spence's speed. Spence came with his usual consistent. He showed a good jab in round one actually. Closed the distance fairly well and fought kind of at one speed. And yeah, it was just not really much happened, but Spence managed to land his left hand a little bit more, so I gave Spence that round, and that's it. Spence didn't win another round of the rest of the fight. Going into round two, Crawford again, it sort of starts similar to round one with Spence kind of trying to show some steady aggression with a jab out there. Crawford was backing up a little bit, but still showing angles, very tight defense. He had his hands tucked in, so he was covering his midriff, covering his face. Spence was kind of coming forward, and then bang, Spence Crawford turns up the heat slightly, and it was all she wrote for Spence in the rest of that fight because Crawford must have clicked in his head. And I've had it before outside of boxing, just with work and things like that, where suddenly something clicks and now you're able to do things a lot quicker, a lot faster, and you're able to process a lot faster. And it happened for Crawford midway through that second round. It clicked for him. And in his southpaw stance, he threw out a power jab, and that knocked Spence on his ass. That was Spence's first ever knockdown, a power jab with Crawford's right hand. And boy, Spence was law lost at sea from then on. We'll go into round three. Spence comes out fast after being hurt in the second round. Crawford rides that. Also, a theme throughout this fight is Crawford showed excellent defense. Someone I learned that I heard versus did this, it was Michael Watson, and he did this in the Chris Eubank fight. Is where instead of just having your hands balled up in a fist, he would open his palms up in the glove, and that would increase the surface area to cover his face. So it's harder for you to get a clean shot on Crawford because he would open his palms up, block him with his palms outstretched, covering more of his face, and then when he wants to punch, he'd ball his fists up again in the glove and be able to let his hands go. So beautiful, beautiful defense, beautiful defense. He showed that in round three as Spence tried to turn it up a little bit and then just started catching Spence, man, showing excellent hand speed. He was throwing with Spence, which is what a lot of Spence opponents were scared to do because Spence hits hard. But Crawford said, "F that, I'm gonna throw with you." So in when Crawford would throw his left hand, Spence would throw. Sorry, when Spence would throw his left hand, Crawford would throw his jab. When Spence would throw his jab, Crawford would throw his right hand. Like it was just beautiful. Like it was beautiful stuff. You almost can't teach it because it's such high elite boxing to throw with a puncher like that. And the counter punches that were landing in round three, beautiful. Spence was hurt again. Round four, Crawford jab, super crispy right jab, power jabs all day. Starts lighting Spence up like a Christmas tree. Spence was showing signs of wear and tear along the face. His eye was starting to swell. Spence was just following Crawford around the ring. Can't literally got nothing for him. And Crawford just looks just perfect in there. He looks at ease. He looks like he's going to take his time and enjoy the fight. He's going to beat Spence down. Going into round five, Crawford's still dominant, counter punching at will. Spence did land a looping left hand, but again, Crawford managed to ride it a little bit and then throw his counter back. Crawford was just amazing in there tonight. I mean, yesterday night, amazing, amazing in there. Going into round six, Crawford boxing beautifully again. These are all my notes from the fight, showing excellent defense, opening up his palm, as I said, to increase the surface area, and still lighting up Spence. It was, oh my gosh, it was wonderful. And then going into round seven, Crawford gets another knockdown. I said it's getting ugly. They might have to pull Spence out because Spence was really getting hurt in there. Crawford punching in between Spence's punches. Round eight, more Crawford dominance. And then finally in round nine, he gets the stoppage. He gets the stoppage in round nine. One thing I want to say about Spence is heart of a lion. He wasn't the better man today, but he didn't go missing. He didn't tuck it in. The referee had to stop the fight, and Spence looked like he wanted to continue. He didn't tell his corner he wanted out, and I've got respect for Spence, big respect. And after the fight, he didn't make any excuses. He didn't say about the weight cut. He didn't say about injuries. He just said, "Look, Crawford was the better man on the night tonight," and it takes a true man and it takes a real man to admit that someone was better than you today. And there's no knock on him for that. He can come back. Well, not even I think, he said he wants a rematch. So, and the rematch might be at 154, which might suit him a bit better. But complete and utter respect for Errol Spence for acting like a classy champion. He's a true champion as well because he was classy, he made no excuses, and he goes back to the drawing board here because really he got outclassed. They didn't look like belonged in the same ring yesterday night. And then Crawford, on the other hand, again, another classy operator. He said thank you to Spence for the opportunity because it needs two of them to make a fight like that. You can't just have Crawford. Crawford needs a dance partner to prove to people that he's the best. A true champion, classy. He didn't make fun of Spence after the fight. He didn't mock Spence. He just took his belts. He took his W like a real man and kept it moving. And this is what we need more in boxing: fighters to put on great fights and then to act classy after the fight is concluded, which normally is the case. Which is another reason why boxing is an amazing sport because it's one of the few sports where you beat someone up and then you give them a handshake after. And one other thing I want to point out is we need to give people like Sean Porter more credit. Sean Porter was in with both of them, and I thought Sean Porter beat Spence. Very, very tight division. And then Sean Porter, he did a much better job with Terence Crawford than Spence did. Much, much better job. Much better job. So let's give people like Sean Porter his credit, man. That was a good welterweight fighter. Very good welterweight fighter, and I don't think he gets enough credit for the work that he put in. But anyway, this isn't about Sean Porter. It's about Terence Crawford and him being an all-time great, two-time undisputed champion, um, beating the best in the division, collected all the belts again. Like the guy's pound for pound number one, no debate. He goes above Inui. Even if there was a debate about Inui and him, he's now sealed the debate. He's pound for pound number one, first guy to be undisputed in the four belt era in two weight divisions, doing legendary stuff. Great man, great boxer. It's man, there's not enough superlatives I have to describe Terence Crawford here because the performance was so dominant. It was so dominant. You could tell that in his training camp, he covered everything because he was so sharp and he was so um, focused, laser focused when he was in that ring against Spence that he couldn't be denied. And number two, he'd covered everything. That it was like Terence Crawford was taking an exam and he had revised everything so nothing could shock him. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff, man. Shout out to Terence Crawford for being an amazing fighter and really elevating himself, making no excuses throughout his career, starting low, starting down. And he wasn't a touted prospect like that. He was a guy who started on small hall shows and built himself up. And now he's at the top of the mountain with boxing on his shoulders. He's the face of boxing now. He's the best in boxing right now. So yeah, peace.